So something that will make your life a lot easier when you are trying to illuminate the scene is understand better if the light is shining too bright. I see in a lot of portfolios I analyze in different images that there's this difficulty to understand when it's shining too bright, especially in like images that are external and have the sun, right? And it's shining on the wall, and the wall is white, and it's way too bright. And we say it's way too bright when there's no more information. When it's white, when it's 255, right? The color in RGB, and same thing happens when we're trying to use a color that's too dark, way too black. So never use complete white or complete black. You always have to use a like gray color, a light gray, and dark gray for the white and black. So let's take a look here at the materials, right? So when we're here with the materials, if we come here to any material and come over here to diffuse, I'm actually using this, so I'll get a different one. Come here to diffuse color. If I use, for example, complete white 255, right? This will end up certainly way too bright. It's not the right way of using the material. We've already seen this in the material video, but sometimes we don't see it, and we change it a little bit. We don't see exactly. 200 is fine, but that's probably the maximum we want to get to. But if we put 220, it's too much. We want to see in a render, this is way too bright, right? For black, it's the same thing, right? When is it too much? When is it no longer reflective surface? Because when it's full black, there's no reflection, and this is a problem for our scene. Not only for calculations, but also for aesthetics, right? So we need to always be in the middle, on the maximum white or black. That said, I did this on purpose here, a light that is way too bright, and I put material that's completely black, completely white, and I'll do a render here now. Preview. So here we go. We see a lot of renders that have this here. We can't see where one surface starts and where the other one ends, right? And if we put our mouse here, holding down the right mouse button, we can see the tone map here. This is the final tone map, right? It says 255, 255, 255. So it already shows us that it's way too high. In black, same thing. Everything's 0, right? So it's one way. You could just put your mouse over it and see what is too high. But a better way of doing it is coming here to render elements. Here are the render elements, yeah. So if you add a render element called Albedo right here. So adding Albedo here, there'll be a setting down here, Albedo render element. And it comes saying here that the highlight, the high albedo, so when it's close to the whites, the really shining, it doesn't even let it get to 1. So 1 would be just what passes from 1, but here it's already correct. 0.85 is fine. And low is the dark part. And we're just going to add 0.01. It'll be fine. And yeah, I'm going to do a test here on the render, and it didn't change anything. Why? Because it did a render element. And so for me to see the render element, I could save the images, or I could just come up to here where it says beauty. Beauty shows us the done render, right? But if I come here to see shading albedo, right? And what's this showing to us? So it's showing us the following information: that everything that is red, including, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to freeze these glass parts because they're not very interesting right now. I'll even redo the render here, just so the explanation is better. So it's showing us the following information. Everything that's red is way too bright. And everything that's blue is too dark. So you don't need to have a perfect eye to see what is shining and what is too dark. Here I put the two extremes, right? Let's see here. When it's too bright, one of the things we're going to do is take our light, which is one way that we can reduce the intensity of it. If the intensity is 1, let's put 0.5, you know, and try the render again. Oh, it's a little bit better. You think, oh, 0.5 is fine. Let's try 0.3. 0.4. I think it's nice. Let's see if it's actually good. We'll come to C shading albedo. It's still really bad. So what are we going to do here? I'm actually going to leave the intensity at 1. I'm going to leave it on beauty. And I'm going to change the material so it doesn't shine that much. You have to be very careful with that. You have to be careful with the materials and the light. It's always these coherency between the two. So you have to be careful that your materials aren't too white or too dark, and your light isn't too light or too dark, causing too much shade. So here we go. Let's come here. I'll reduce the intensity down to 0.8. Okay, so render here. Looks nice. I'll pick my white material, and I'll just look at shading here. And diffuse, I'll put 200. Right. Okay, so or 180. You know. And then on black, I'll come here and I'll put 5. Actually, I want it black, so 2. It's fine, because then it's actually black and not gray. So what if I do a render here? Look, it's not really bad like it was before, because there's not that much red, you know, but there's still a bit of blue, so maybe I have to come here and increase it up to 3. Look, now it's there's no blue and no red in my scene, so when I look at beauty, looks nice. So there's no longer a lighting issue here, so you don't have to depend on, like, because sometimes there's a ton of different screens out there, and some screens have problems where they show the lighting exploding, but it's not actually that bad. So you're going to work with the software. You're going to look very closely. It's very discreet, but you can see here that this is one shade of darker color, and this is a lighter color. And obviously, we're not going to stay here on the limits. We're going to work here with a different white, for example, and put 170, you know. It looks a bit better. Now we can see the distinction better here. And the black 2 is also a good shade of black. So if we look here on the C shading albedo, everything is perfectly fine. So this is a tip I give for you to be able to use the software well and understand if your scene is not too bright, but also if it doesn't have objects that are too dark, that aren't generating GI and generating complexity or noise and all those problems that can be caused using those two extremes.